If you want to write a book, but you're not really sure if you're a particularly good writer and if that's going to hold you back or not, then this video is for you. By the time I got to high school, I began having conversations with guidance counselors. A guidance counselor would pull me aside and he would show me my report card and he would show me all of the A's that I was getting in English and in history and in language arts and in, anything having to do with language. And then he would show me my grades in math. I would be getting C minuses in geometry, or I would get a failing grade in beginner's algebra. And he could not figure out what the problem was. He would say, Anne, you look like a smart girl, but why are you getting A's here? And why are you getting C minuses or D's in math? And I explained to him that it was easy enough for me to read English or to read history and then to remember it and then be able to take a test and pass a test and do pretty well at it. But when it came time for a math test, I would have read through the math and I would have read through each of the problems, but whenever it came time to take a test, I would fail. And he was super confused and he said, what do you mean? You just read the math book and you expect to do well? And I thought, yeah. All my other courses, I can read it and I can process the information and then I can apply it on a test, but I can't do the same for math. And he said, well, that's not how math is done. Math is done through practicing. Very few, if any, people can read a textbook in math and then hold that information and then be able to work a problem without doing the exercises and practicing. And it was the first time in my life that I realized that not everything is going to be particularly easy and that some things require practice, and to get good at some things requires that you run through exercises or go through problems or do some work in order to get the results that you want. And I think the same goes for a lot of people in the writing department. So one of my authors years back wrote an essay or wrote a chapter called The Curse of the Natural. And he called being a natural at certain things, being good at something without really having to try. It was a gift, but it was also a curse. Because if you're good at a number of things, and if you're running a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you've created something from whole cloth, then you're pretty good at what you do. And if you've gotten good at stuff, it's very difficult for some people to be bad at something or to come back to beginner mindset and begin to apply things, begin to kind of stumble along, begin to not immediately get the result that you want, which is the case often with writing, particularly when you're writing a book. And that if you are cursed with having been good at certain things, the mindset that you get into is that if you're not immediately good at something, then it means you're not meant to do it. You're no good at that. For me, I just thought I was never going to be particularly good at math, and I just wrote it off. And perhaps if you're very good at something and your first attempts to write a chapter or to write an outline or to write anything haven't been, particularly outstanding for you, it's not very good and you're not very satisfied with the outcome, you may be suffering from that natural mindset that gets in the way. So what would I tell you? I would tell you that I think you get good, or a lot of us get good at writing by doing. It's having the crappy first draft. It's going back in and revising, and it's losing the expectation that whatever you set down on the page is going to be good right from the get-go. Understanding that you get better with writing. Your first chapter isn't so great. The second chapter isn't so great either. And by the time you're in your third or fourth chapter, things begin clicking and the process becomes easier and it starts looking better and better. Like, you get good at writing by writing. It's a lot like math. You have to do the problems and that thinking about it or reading about it or theorizing about it, that's not going to get you the outcome that you want. The outcome that you want, regardless of how natural a writer you are or not, the outcome you want is on the other side of just doing the work and doing the exercises. So I hope that this helps. I hope you screw up the courage to be bad, screw up the courage to fumble around until you get a little bit better, until you get good, and you drop the curse of the natural at the door and carry forth.